AITA for walking out after my fiancée mocked me for not being as manly as her ex? That sentence did not start a fight or any shouting, just silence. And it was precisely that silence that brought a 2-year relationship to a definitive end. It is amazing how a single sentence can destroy a 2-year relationship. I never saw it coming, nor did it even cross my mind until the words left her mouth. We were sitting on the couch the night before, the television on some show neither of us was actually watching. I had asked a simple, almost automatic question. How was dinner with Gavin? Gavin was her ex. For the last 6 months, she had been meeting up with him once a month, according to her, for a closure coffee or to catch up. Always a different justification, always with the same feigned tranquility. Every time before, I swallowed my discomfort and pretended to be mature, but that night something was different. She came home smelling of his cologne, a specific, unmistakable scent, the same one I had smelled on her jacket weeks earlier and decided to ignore. I just wanted a straight answer, no games. She looked at me with a half smile on her face and then laughed. A real laugh. It is so funny how you get jealous when I see my ex, she said, her voice dripping with mockery. Then she finished as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Maybe it is because you are not the man he is. I did not answer. I just kept sitting there, staring at the wall behind her head. The words echoed in the silence of the living room. She seemed to be waiting for an argument, a plea, some emotional reaction to validate her provocation. When that did not happen, she huffed, got up, and went to the bedroom, slamming the door hard. I stayed on the couch. I did not follow her. I did not yell. I did not slam any doors. I just kept repeating that sentence in my head. Maybe it is because you are not the man he is. That was not an accusation. It was a sentence. And in that instant, I decided she was absolutely right. I was not cut out to be the boyfriend of someone like her. So it was over. Just like that. The next morning, she left before I woke up. She probably imagined I would spend the day stewing over everything and then come running after her, apologizing for my excessive jealousy. That is not what happened. Instead, I drove to the storage unit and got a dozen large cardboard boxes. I spent the entire day calmly organizing the apartment, packing up every single thing that belonged to her: clothes, makeup, books, the decorative items she had scattered in every corner. I was careful. I wrapped the ceramic mugs in newspaper and separated her jewelry into a padded box. I did not throw anything away. I did not break anything. I did not keep anything. By 4 in the afternoon, all 12 boxes were sealed and stacked by the front door. The last step was the most important. It was not hard to find Gavin's address. An old Christmas card forgotten in a drawer did the work for me. I hired a delivery service online. It cost $227.50 for premium same-day delivery. The confirmation email arrived at 4:15 in the afternoon with a tracking number. I printed the receipt and left it on the now-empty coffee table. I sent absolutely everything of hers directly to her ex's front door. After that, I ordered a pizza and waited. The first call came at 7:03 in the evening. It was her. I let it go to voicemail. The message was desperate. Where is all my stuff? What did you do? This is not funny. Call me now. 5 more calls came immediately, one after the other. I ignored them all. Then the text started. An avalanche. First confusion, then anger, then threats. I read every one without replying. It was like watching a storm from behind a thick pane of glass. The real show began the next day. A call from an unknown number. I answered, put it on speaker, and started recording. It was not her, it was her mom. I do not know what kind of sick game you think you are playing. She started without so much as a good morning. But you cannot just throw Alyssa out on the street. She has rights. She lives there. You have to let her back in to get her things. I waited patiently for her to finish. Good morning, Denise, I replied calmly. All of Alyssa's things have already been delivered. You can check with Gavin. As for her living here, I suggest you review the lease agreement for apartment 4B. There was a pause on the other end of the line. What does the lease have to do with this? She snapped, irritated. It has everything to do with it, I replied. Alyssa is not, nor has she ever been, on the lease. She was a guest, my guest, and that invitation has been terminated. This was the first pillar of my plan, and it was built on a solid foundation. When we moved in together, I was the only one who signed the lease. She had just started a new job and her credit was not the best, so we agreed it would be simpler that way. At the time, it seemed like a supportive gesture. Now it was my shield. The guest clause, Section 7, subsection C, was crystal clear. The stay of any single guest could not exceed 14 consecutive days without prior written consent from the landlord. Long-term guests needed to be officially added to the lease. She had been a guest for 2 years, and I had never requested that authorization. My landlord, Mr. Whitman, was extremely strict with the rules, an old-school manager who documented absolutely everything. On the other end of the line, Denise was losing her temper. This is absurd. She paid rent. No, I corrected. She transferred money to my account each month to help with expenses. All rent and utility payments came exclusively from my bank account, and I have receipts for everything. She has no financial ties to this property. I could hear her heavy breathing on the other end, the rage coming through the phone. You will be hearing from our lawyer, she said before hanging up. At that moment, I opened my computer and drafted an email. The recipient was Mr. Whitman. The subject was direct, notification of guest departure, Apt 4B. In the body of the email, I wrote, Dear Mr. Whitman, this is to inform you that my long-term guest, Alyssa Martin, permanently vacated the premises yesterday, September 10th. As per our lease agreement, I will continue to be the sole occupant of the apartment. Please let me know if any additional documentation is required. Sincerely, my name. I sent it at 11:32 in the morning. The reply came in less than an hour. Thank you for the notification. Your record has been updated accordingly. W. I took a screenshot of that email exchange. It was another piece from my collection of evidence. For a few days, everything was quiet. A strange, almost unsettling silence. I started to think they might have given up, that the lawyer threat was just a bluff. I should have known it would not be that simple. The next phase of the attack came from another direction, our social circle. We had a steady group of mutual friends, basically 2 other couples, Jordan and Natalie, and Ethan and Madison. We had all been friends for years. On Thursday night, I got a text from Natalie. Hey, can I call you? Something came up. I agreed. Her voice sounded hesitant. Look, she began. I did not want to get into this, but Alyssa is posting some really heavy stuff in the group chat. She is saying you had a breakdown, that you screamed at her and kicked her out with nothing but the clothes on her back, because you are a jealous, controlling monster. I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. It was not enough to get me out of her life. She needed to destroy my reputation too. Natalie, do you believe that? I asked. There was a pause. Honestly, it does not sound like you. But she is being very convincing, she continued. She is saying you were tracking her phone and that you threatened her. It was a smear campaign. I had expected it, but hearing the details made it all the more real. Can you send me screenshots of what she is saying? I asked. Natalie hesitated for a moment, then agreed. A minute later, my phone vibrated. There were 5 screenshots from the group chat. I read everything carefully. It was a masterclass in manipulation. Alyssa's messages were filled with crying emojis and dramatic phrases. I am so scared. He screamed at me for hours. I was terrified. He probably burned all my things. All my family photos are gone forever. Ethan and Madison had bought the story without question, sending messages of support. Jordan was reacting mostly with just emojis. The biggest lie was about the screaming. My entire approach was based on the fact that I had not said a word. I knew that simply denying it would not work. It would be my word against her emotional theatrics. I needed something irrefutable. I spent the next hour crafting my response. It would not be in the group chat. I sent a direct message to only Jordan and Natalie. I trusted them to be the most rational. I wrote, Guys, I am not going to get into a public argument, but I want you, as our closest friends, to know the truth. I am attaching 3 things. 1. A screenshot of a text from Alyssa last month where she admits to lying about who she was with. She said she was with Natalie when she was actually with Gavin. 2. A screenshot of the delivery receipt, showing I paid over $200 to have all 12 boxes of her belongings delivered safely and professionally to Gavin's front door. 3. The last text she sent me before I decided to end things. The 3rd attachment was the most important. I had saved it after one of her closure coffees with Gavin. I had texted, Hope it was a good catch-up. I'm feeling a little weird about this. Can we talk later? Her response was cold and dismissive. Stop being so insecure. It is not attractive. We are just friends. If you cannot deal with it, that is your problem. I placed that screenshot next to the message in the group chat, where she called me a controlling psychopath. The contrast spoke for itself. I finished my message to Jordan and Natalie with a single sentence. I never yelled, I never threatened, and I never threw her things away. I just took her at her word when she made it clear that maybe it is because I am not the man he is, and I sent her and her belongings to the person she clearly preferred to spend her time with. I sent the message and turned off my phone for the night. The next morning, there was a reply from Jordan. Wow. Just wow. We had no idea. Natalie and I are so sorry we ever even doubted you. This is insane. He added, we are going to stay out of it, but just know we are on your side. Ethan and Madison never got in touch. The friend group split right then and there. Alyssa had gone too far, thinking I would just stay quiet and take the attacks. What she did not realize was that I was documenting everything. The direct consequence of her smear campaign was simple. She lost the only friends who might have stood by her without question. In the end, she isolated herself with her own lies. A week went by. The apartment was clean, quiet, and for the first time in a long time, it truly felt like mine. I rearranged the furniture, bought a new rug, and threw out those lavender-scented candles she loved and I had always hated. The atmosphere felt light, peaceful. I started to believe the drama was finally over. I was wrong. Then came the third escalation, and this one was the most audacious of all. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was working from home when an unknown number appeared on my phone. It was Denise, her mom, again. This time, her tone was not aggressive. It was coated in a fake sweetness that was almost cloying. Hello, she said in a syrupy voice. Look, I know things are tense, but we have a serious problem. Alyssa realized that in the rush of everything, a very important family heirloom was left behind. I stayed silent, letting her continue. It is her great-grandmother's pearl necklace, she went on. It has been in the family for generations. It is absolutely priceless, both sentimentally and financially. I remained quiet. She is devastated, Denise said, forcing a break in her voice. We think it might have fallen behind the dresser in the bedroom. We did not want to bother you, but it is just so important. Could we possibly arrange a time for her to stop by with me? Of course, just 5 little minutes to look for it. My blood ran cold. This was a Trojan horse. There was no forgotten necklace. It was a calculated attempt to regain access to the apartment. Once inside, she could refuse to leave, claim she lived there, and turn the whole thing into a new legal nightmare. They were trying to manipulate me, using sentimentality as a weapon. I knew I could not just say no. That would make me look cruel, the villain of the story. I needed to prove it was a lie. That sounds serious, I replied, keeping my voice neutral. Let me check. I have a security camera in the living room pointed at the front door. I installed it a few months ago after a package was stolen. It records on a loop. I will review the footage from the day she left. If she was not wearing the necklace when she left that morning, then it might still be inside. I will let you know in an hour. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. I could almost hear the gears turning in Denise's head as she realized her plan was about to fall apart. Oh, she said suddenly, her voice smaller. A camera. I see. Yes, I replied. For security. I will check and let you know. I hung up before she could say another word. I immediately opened my laptop and accessed the recording files. The camera was simple, a Wise Cam, nothing fancy, but it recorded clear, time-stamped videos. I found the footage from the morning she left, the same day I packed her things. Timestamp, 8:12 in the morning. The door opens, and Alyssa walks out, dressed for work. She pauses in the doorway to check her purse, and there, perfectly visible against her black blouse, was the pearl necklace. It was not a discreet piece of jewelry or something small. It was a statement piece, one she wore for important events. She was wearing it as she walked out of my life for good. I clicked a 15-second segment of the video. I zoomed in on the necklace so there could be no doubt. I attached the file to a new email. The recipient was Denise. The subject was short and direct. Found it. In the body of the email, I wrote just one sentence. Good news. The necklace was not left in the apartment. See the attached video from 8:12 in the morning on September 10th. I hit send. There was no reply. No text, no call, no email. Nothing. That was checkmate. I had proven with incontestable, time-stamped video evidence that not only was Alyssa lying, but her own mother was complicit in the lie. They attempted a calculated, manipulative ploy to violate my space and my boundaries, and they were caught red-handed. The humiliation must have been enormous. There was no way to spin that. No way to paint me as the villain. I just presented the truth, calmly and methodically. After that, the silence was total. But the story still had one last, unexpected chapter. About a month after the necklace incident, I received a text from a number I did not recognize. "Hey, it is Gavin. You do not know me, but you sent your ex's stuff to my house a while back." My first impulse was to block the number. I was done with all of it. But curiosity got the better of me. I replied with only a question mark. His response came a minute later. "Just wanted to say thanks. It was the craziest, most eye-opening thing that has ever happened to me. She showed up on my doorstep that night screaming about you, and then tried to move into my guest room. It took me 2 weeks to get her out of here. She is nuts. You dodged a nuclear missile, buddy." I read the message without any particular reaction. Gavin's perspective did not spark any curiosity or empathy in me. He was not part of my story, just a leftover detail from the chaos Alyssa created. If he suffered from it, that was not my problem, I thought. I replied objectively, leaving no room for conversation. "I see. Hope it is all resolved." His final reply came quickly. "All resolved. Blocked her on everything." After the first week, I realized how much I needed therapy. Your delivery service was the most expensive wake-up call in the world. I read the message and felt nothing. No relief, no satisfaction, just confirmation of the obvious. It no longer concerned me. I deleted the conversation. The drama had run its course. The lies were exposed. The bridges had been turned to ash. All her attempts to control, defame, or manipulate me had failed because I refused to play the game. I did not argue. I did not plead. I did not react emotionally. I stuck to the facts, the evidence, and the clear terms of our agreements. I blocked Alyssa's number. I blocked her mom's number. I went to the kitchen, poured myself a whiskey, and enjoyed the absolute silence of my home, without thinking about anyone else. Comment. I want to start by acknowledging the strength it takes to walk away from a difficult situation. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is honor your own self-respect, even when it is hard. Setting clear boundaries is not an act of aggression, but rather an act of self-preservation. You can handle a situation with firmness and integrity without losing your kindness. Choosing peace over conflict is a choice you always have the right to make. It also highlights the importance of staying calm and relying on facts, not just emotions. True healing often begins the moment you decide you deserve a safe and respectful environment. It reminds us that our energy is a precious resource, and we get to decide who deserves it. I hope this story encourages you to protect your peace with both courage and compassion. Remember to be kind to yourself as you navigate your own journey. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.